Welcome to episode 3. This is Brendon Ferguson, a designer.
This is Chuck Jordan, writer.
Heather Logas, designer.
Dave Bogan, art director.
Dave Grossman, borderline person.
Jurgen.
Nipple rings!
Woo!
Taking your souls will
This
satisfy
is good.
my
That's
This
what
is
I
my
love about
favorite
Telltale.
episode.
They're not afraid
Yeah, I think this
to
is my
model
favorite
some
episode of
nipple
the
rings.
season, too.
This is probably my 5th favorite episode of the season.
I love Jurgen. He's fantastic. And this opening is fantastic.
The opening is, it's good.
Another one with the classic James Bond style.
And the angriest Sam line. In
I know, that was... I don't... Damn you, it's Were you there for that recording? I don't even remember that.
I just remember hearing it. Is that Sam?
I can't even remember how we got here.
Chuck had this idea to do the framing story, which I also really love. And so this seemed a good time for it, because it was a situation where we knew we wanted to have a very strong villain in this one, where there's a clear guy who's being silly. And so him having a death trap seemed perfect.
Like the Night of the Living Dead inspired title card for this one.
Right, so what we needed to do in this one was, we knew the overall story arc was that Jurgen would be the guy that is sucking souls. So we knew there was going to be a plan tying up the afterlife. And so we said, okay, the plan is going to be that somebody's sucking souls and then delivering them to somebody else to be crushed or processed. And so in this one, what we wanted to do was just give you this hint of this soul sucking business. And then so that it would push you to the next episode to see where are these souls going, what's happening to them.
Here's the zombies. These zombies turned out really good. We wanted to do them so that they had like interchangeable body parts and things like that, so we could have basically one zombie but make a variety of them that all
Mohawk
look
zombie,
different.
two-handed zombie.
A snowy egret. A chicken.
That's another one that I
So much noise.
was ripping off from the comic books without realizing it. So it's now an homage to the comic books.
Which
The whole bit where Max is having a vision, religious vision, and he complains about the zombie making too much noise. It turns out that's directly taken from Ghost in the Cereal Aisle. And it's just been running around in my subconscious so long I'd forgotten.
Oh, you can check out the little calendar in the background there. That's our nice little hubris calendar series that changes throughout the episodes.
Yeah.
You wander around
I remember we were talking about what should the theme of the calendar be this year, and at some point we had Supreme Court justices was an idea.
In sexy poses.
I mean, obviously,
So this-
artistically, that's great, but it didn't work out.
this scene is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, that's...
With the rain and the light and the lightning and the flames. This is
Could be.
really fantastic.
There's a gaggle of zombies.
Politely lining up outside. Ooh, classy.
One of our veteran artists
Europeans
here
make the
did
most
this scene.
refined undead. This must be the place.
I think when everyone saw the underwater scene, they really started to open up and try to get as much as they could into the environment.
Super
This is a
Bowl.
perfect example. Marco's rain added a lot to this scene too, actually.
Marco's reign of terror.
Rain of effects, terror.
Super Ball is one of my favorite characters in Sam and Max.
When I heard they was
Something
acting
about
as
him that's just charming.
when I heard they are using him as a bouncer for this episode, I was like, okay, that's perfect.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the brain from a freshly buried.
He likes
there
doors.
is a door to the garden.
There is
Super Bowl is there.
Yes.
And those are pretty fine doors.
That
Even
is-
I would guard those doors.
So what we really wanted here was a strong contrast between this spooky castle on the outside and this crazy rave on the inside.
Right. Yeah, that seems to be something that we want to do a lot, which is to juxtapose. You start off thinking this is going to be one thing, and it turns out to be something else, but we always forget, of course, when we advertise this episode, we're going to say, oh, it's a rave inside, so there's really no surprise that when you go in there, this is what it's going to be.
This environment is fantastic as well. This episode is just fantastic. And Jurgen is so funny. He kills me.
I think Brian, Mai, and Kim each did some really nice environments in this one.
Yeah.
You got the rave scene here, and then the downstairs environment is really nice too. With the
Yeah,
skull,
yeah. Everybody did top-notch work.
monster table.
This one is Kim and Brian did the dungeon.
Remember when Julian and Jared were sending the audition tapes for Jurgen
So what's your story?
and just cracking up at William Caston's read for it?
This one, actually, I was on maternity leave during the actual production of this episode. But Jake Rodkin was sending me voice files from home while I was at home of this guy because he was just so perfect. It was really hilarious.
You should hear him on the outtakes.
William Caston also does the voice of Max.
And this is yet another really great character design by Dave Bogan.
Actually, I think this one, I started off with this and I bounced it off Steve, and of course Steve Purcell polished it like he always does really nicely.
I never knew vampires were so...
The thumbs and the nipple rings are definitely a nice touch.
That was a good.
I can probably take credit for that one.
Yeah.
And the emo haircut.
I sent Dave Bogan just tons and tons of files of haircuts for that one, like
That's right.
80s like Flock of Seagulls guys.
Yeah.
Talk to me when you're ready.
Yeah.
Tonight, a very
This episode just has all my favorite stuff in it, so I was extremely excited about it. Zombies and vampires and raves and
slowly
all
flapping
mixed
chicken.
together. Yes.
Very special.
Slowly flapping chicken.
Will go away?
Mr. Featherly needs our
I have
help.
to say, I really
Oh,
like,
there he is now.
I don't know, just from like story-driven puzzles, I just love the idea of rigging someone's intervention.
In order to affect the entire flow of culture in another country.
Yes.
All I need to do
This
is
gets
get
all the cliches in
Jurgen
one.
to what is this one? Smoke a
The
cigarette?
clove cigarette, the garlic
Garlic
cloves.
clove cigarettes.
There was a lot of conversation about the garlic clove cigarettes. Chuck and I really liked the garlic clove cigarettes. I think it took some convincing.
I really like the whole intervention
How do you
episode
explain
thing.
this?
It really, I don't know why, but I get flashbacks of like different strokes and shows like that.
Drinking it all the time.
Try to hammer the messages into you.
Yeah.
Family Ties and Blossom had, I think, the
Blossom.
I was really glad actually we got to do this way back when we made this episode, the TV episode 102. There were just so many TV show ideas we wanted to do, we just couldn't do them all. So I was glad we can take a blast from the past here and get some more in.
Well, there's neat things during the design session where a bunch of stuff seems to come together. It's like, we've got a German character. We know that cheesy TV is big in Germany. And we know that we love doing spinning newspaper headlines.
We know that goths like clove cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I didn't really know about the difference between goth and emo before people started pointing it out to me after this episode.
We're getting
I
old,
still
so we
kind of
these
don't know
things.
what it means. Still.
I'm glad that we were making fun of emos in this episode.
I thought we were making fun of goths.
Yeah, the goth thing is kind of played out.
I thought it was emus.
Making fun of emos is a...
Emus.
and
Yeah, a good emu culture parody.
we already
Very
made fun
right.
of Elmos.
And the plethora of letters that we got from offended emos, of course.
They're all so extra.
so
I'm like,
not
get over
emo."
it, guys.
So not emo.
How could you tell they were upset?
It's like this is the garlic cloves.
Oh, we've gone through every single intervention style here.
Water? Turgid Springs, all natural water.
Admit you have a problem.
All right, I admit it. I am addicted.
This episode finally explains why Featherly has bloodshot eyes.
Really? Water.
Stop it. You're making me thirsty.
Yeah,
I like the message about television culture here. What it does to our youth.
For the cow, too. Whatever.
Unfortunately, we are those youths. Addled.
Utes.
Into
or
thinking this is
Utes.
funny.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
or evidence.
Oh, that is the very
Oh,
last
so
of this
the
stuff.
holy water puzzle I think was actually recommended by Jake Rodkin's son, wasn't it?
Joel.
Joel
sorry,
Dreskin.
Joel Dreskin's son. I'm sorry.
Jake
Jake
Rodkin
Rodkin's
has
young
an
enough to be
emo
great.
son?
Jake Rodkin has no children. Just to clear that up.
But yeah, Joel's son came in one day and was sitting with us in the design session, and then scrawled on a piece of paper. He wouldn't even say it to us. Just wrote down, "He drinks somebody's blood and makes him hyper." And we said, "Yes, gold." Key to success.
Ben Dreskin.
Ben.
He's 9 years old, something
Yeah,
like that.
he's a lot better game designer.
Genius
than we are.
game designer. Thank you very much.
From whence you were spawned.
What he said.
Heard it. I should have disposed of you irritants long ago.
Right, so this one was planned from the beginning to link back up to the opening scene.
The music here cracks me up.
Non-stop house party of evil.
Yes.
Epic battle of our
I love that
entire
scene.
career.
Yeah, that was well done on your part, Dave.
It was a challenge to come up with a visual way to actually represent that.
Yeah, we talked about that for a while, about how making it clear, you pan over and see, oh, this is us watching what did happen.
And it really didn't come together until the last minute.
This is so-
This moment right here, this was the genesis of the entire episode. That
Yeah.
you would go to zombie land, you would die, and come back as zombies. That's where we started. The entire episode was built
And
out of that.
it played in neatly to the opening with the flashback where
Right.
what you expect to happen
Right,
is
exactly.
you
Is that
come
you
back to that
escape.
moment.
Right,
and,
that's why
here's-
it
now
seems
we
so
escape,
perfect.
But no,
Because
you don't.
we've all seen that scene so many times where the laser's coming towards James Bond, and so we wanted to see one where this time actually he does die.
Why are we
You totally don't expect it to happen. Hopefully.
I thought you knew.
Flint paper. So we
Yeah.
loved this idea too of flint paper. You're zombies now, and then Resident Evil style flint paper dives in and starts
You have to be a
shooting all
zombie
you
to
guys.
appreciate how good Flint is at killing them.
The man's a
Yeah.
consummate professional.
All right, which one?
We did do there were a lot of kind of horror game references throughout this this episode.
Yeah, I do like Resident Evil. I always wanted to be the zombie in those games for some reason.
Why is
I'm
the
twisted.
floor so sticky?
There's
I-
not a
check
single
out the
possible answer
pacifier.
to that question that I like.
That's pretty fantastic.
Let's go, little buddy.
Eh, Flint tastes like cigarettes.
Yeah, I was glad. Flint was a very hard character for us to get the feel right. We didn't want him to be just like all the other characters where you go, you have long dialogue trees. You wanted to seem a little bit more aloof and mysterious. And in the comics, you only very briefly talk to him or just hear him say a line. But we did want to have him have a moment to shine. Unfortunately, I had to end with him getting his head bitten on by Max. But c'est la vie.
It lives. Our creation lives. Happy birthday.
And so it became a running challenge for us to figure out how are we going to incorporate the mariachi in each episode. Whose birthday is it going to be? And this one just seemed very perfect. Well, perfect.
For the Frosty the Snowman references are always good too.
Oh, I just wanted to mention real quick because it comes up on the forums where people want to know why we decided to put the zombie factory in Stuttgart. I think especially German people are curious about that, and it's really just that it was originally going to be in Berlin. When I was in Berlin when I was 18, there was a huge citywide rave going on, and but we decided Berlin was just too, I don't know, too typical or something. So we wanted something a little more
There's always
unusual.
zombie movies in Berlin.
Stuttgart just sounds funnier.
Stuttgart
than,
is a
than-
great sounding name. I just always liked the name Stuttgart. So there's no real, very good significance behind that other than that.
Yeah, whatever. So I think I've narrowed it down to 2 guys. I'm still not quite sure. You didn't meet any cool guys out there, did you? Thanks for coming.
And I like how
gentlemen.
Sybil's
You know,
little
it's
relationship
difficult
troubles
when you
worked into
travel,
this
having to
episode.
carry
It's
all
Right,
this
right.
the
stuff.
game thing. That was good fun.
It didn't start out as a dating game exactly. The plan was that what we want to do is to drive a wedge in this whole relationship between Sybil and Lincoln that we were going to have now. Other suitors come up and Lincoln would be sobbing off in the wings somewhere. And then it seemed fitting that we would get the monster to be the perfect man since we had the ability. we essentially start with the idea, okay, we have a monster whose body parts we can change and fool around with. What are we going to do with that? What's going to be the puzzle? So the idea of creating the perfect man worked out well.
I just wanted to get another late 70s, early 80s reference in there. So, the dating game.
As anyone alive. Which question should I ask first? Bachelor number 1. The only thing I liked about my last boyfriend was
I like how she reads her cards upside down.
he always just knew
She
the
knows
right
them
thing
so
to
well.
say. What would you say to me in a romantic moment?
Keep your hands away from that, you filthy, disgusting creature!
What? I expected
This puzzle with
better.
Harry right here, where you have to get him to,
I wasn't talking about
when she asks Harry a question, and then you're supposed to threaten some knickknacks to get him to say something
Isn't making things
that's a
any
very
better.
inappropriate answer to the question. We definitely had some troubles with that one. We ended up making it pretty easy. I think if you threaten just about anything, he freaks out.
That look is so good.
Yeah, just for the walk of shame.
Thank you for filling in on such short notice, Agent.
It's always trouble with a puzzle if the idea of what you're supposed to do is too obscure. Then
Yeah.
really think about it.
That one was a little bit.
Becomes frustrating.
You're kind of working backwards from a punchline there, and
Bachelor number 1.
didn't quite work out.
Would you like to go steady?
I've never even heard that drum roll until just now.
Feel complete. Preposterous.
Please, no cameras. I need a moment.
After years of searching, I finally found the perfect man. What? Oh, of course.
We had a lot of
right,
trouble with the zombie moans in this episode. Voice directing them. It sounds like a joke, but it really isn't. We had these ones, like, for example, every time you do one more thing to upset Jurgen, the zombies get a little bit more mad at him. And so it's just funny to listen to their grunts that are, I'm pretty upset, but not that upset. I still basically like you.
There's a weekend in Cabo San Lucas is out of the question as well.
It's a nice image.
Figure out how that thing works, Sam?
There must be a button.
I think the zombie noises were like the
Well,
What gives?
demon noises in 205, where we just had our own version that we kept saying over and over again during design meetings.
Switch.
I wouldn't
You come
say
to a
that.
zombie, he goes, nah.
Hey, give my stuff back.
But then,
And then we didn't
wasn't-
imagine how many nuances of yeah we need to record.
We had a really fun party at GDC that I wish you could have been to, where we got to dress up as zombies.
Cannot defeat me.
That's Max and
Just
Sam.
mentioning that,
No
because
matter.
that was fun.
I will take your souls once again, but this time.
So this one, right, so again, in this episode, we really wanted to drive home the whole souls being extracted from your body. And so I knew we wanted to do something here where there's some sort of mix-up with souls and bodies and something.
As your American
Um,
say.
And then we pushed to even have at the end your soul go into the monster's body, which may have been one step too far. But I like this part.
I think the swapping of Sam and Max's satisfaction is another long-term goal for everybody.
Yeah,
It just seemed like a fun thing to do.
I always like stuff like that. It's again that kind of stuff where it's the same voice actors and the same models, but it just feels very interesting.
So we had this like sort of Castlevania style boss battle thing planned
Oh.
for when you were still Sam and Max and fighting Jurgen, and wound up
Hope you got
going
the
away
point.
from that.
Yeah, but unfortunately we could not pull that off.
Better.
But I cannot be defeated. I am the Prince of Darkness.
He
Right,
almost
so
willingly steps into that.
It
death
seemed
trap
like he did,
right
didn't it?
there.
And so what we needed was now we see, oh, there's something that draws us now to the next episode where we see somebody's soul move on so that we can connect the next episode to this one.
It's nice of Flint to wait there.
Sammy, you're
It is.
Just in time, too.
And then we really just wanted to have that last post-credits gag where Max, as the President of the United States, is still a zombie. And so for that reason, we just had him chasing his soul ball but never getting it.
We'll help you.
But that was not intended to be a plot element. And then they get their souls back at the end.
Face of the earth.
Dun dun dun.
What was that you said about
Bosco.
Max being a zombie, the president?
Yeah, that's the way I remember.
Who was that
Oh, there it is.
spiky-haired fellow in the front row in the silhouettes there? I wonder.
Bye-bye.